All right, welcome into another edition of Another Duly Noted Podcast, and it's another one. So we only had another 3 times in the lead. We appreciate you for clicking on, whether you're watching on live on Facebook or YouTube, and of course, there's all these other apps you can get to listen, or you probably have them. I know you have apps, okay? Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and of course, WRUF.com, also where you can read the back 9 and the front 9, which will be, I'm sure, is up now. So have fun reading that as well. All right, we're going to have a little bit later on the show, we're going to have Laura Rutledge joining us, and I can't wait. It'll be fun to talk to her. And then, of course, Robbie Andreu will make one of his, I don't even know what we call these. It's just like a walk-in, or like they used to do in the old days when all of a sudden Don Rickles would walk in during Frank Sinatra's spot on the Tonight Show. He just walks in, hey, Dr. Vinny Boombot's called. These are old days. Anyway, Robbie will be in here and we'll talk a little bit. I got some questions for him. And I want some answers, and I want them now. All right, I wanted to start by talking about the sadness that I think a lot of us are feeling right now, because college football and NFL football now are officially all completely over. There are no more football games. Technically there are, and you're going to get to pick one in the Leonardo's quick picks, because I'm going to say this. I'm going to make you look it up and see how to spell Tarleton State versus McNeese State. All right? You're going to have to know who to pick in that game. To be honest, it's only a 2-point spread, so it's not going to be that bad. But football is over when the Super Bowl stops. And, we've had years where we've had these other leagues at spring leagues. Look, I love the USFL. It's the best time of my life, but for the most part, I'm not into spring leagues unless they've got great players. That's what made the USFL great. The USFL had 53 guys who played in the NFL the next year. I mean, it wasn't like they didn't have these great players. I mean, they had players like Herschel and Flutie and Sipe and Rozier, and I mean, they were everywhere. Great players. Don Latimer. I mean, they were all over the place. So, but anyway, we don't have that anymore. But I will say this: the good thing about it is it's talking season now. We officially can. I'm crowning it today on Friday, the beginning of talking season. You guys, you can talk about the Bucks all you want, but okay, you got a full week, not a full week, but part of a week, and then we're gonna talk. That's all we're gonna do is talk about football, because that's what we do. That's what they do. As when we talk to Laura, who of course with the NFL Live certainly is talks a lot of NFL football as she goes forward. We're going to keep talking about college football because that's what we do in the South. That's what they do on ESPN and all the stations. We're going to keep talking on all the radio stations. It's football. It's what stirs the drink. There's nothing but football that is responsible, and we won't ignore the other things. That's the point I want to make, though. We're going to still talk about basketball if they ever play again. I mean, come on. Canceled again. So now this is 3 straight games. And look, I understand it, but it's hard to talk about a basketball team that's not playing. So, but when they get back playing, we'll stay with them. We're going to be big on baseball and softball because we 2 of our favorite sports. In fact, I think we'll have Jeff Cardozo on next week to talk a little Gator baseball. I think on Monday he's coming on. And we've also got some guests we're lining up in the future, including Greg Sankey's going to come on eventually. I'm pretty sure we'll get Jay Billis on sometime in the future. I talked to Tom Rinaldi the other night, and he said later in the month he thinks he can do something. So I've gone, Torian Green is going to wait till he gets back into town. Maybe we'll get him to sit in. That would be great. And you could ask him some questions as well. So we're lining up guests for the future. We're continuing to line up sponsors for the future, and we still have room for you. I really want to get somebody to sponsor 3 things. And hopefully somebody will soon. We've got a lot of people we're talking about. But the bottom line, as I said before, it is talking season, and we can officially end staggering off a boat season. That video of Tom Brady, if you haven't seen it, is hilarious. But, there's part of me that goes, hey, a guy you're the GOAT. You should be able to drink as much as you want, as long as you have somebody there to carry you off the deck and drive you home and put you to bed, as long as you have that. But there's never any reason to condone public intoxication. And that's what was. You know your limits, I guess. Look, I'm not throwing any stones here, but certainly I have no problem with it. But I think a lot of people wouldn't. I can understand why they would. But, you got to celebrate. He looked like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie For Love of the Game, and he throws the perfect game. I'll give away the ending because I think the movie's terrible, and I don't want you to watch it. So Costner throws the perfect game, and then he's coming home back to the hotel, and he's got the catcher. He's having to hold up against the wall and dragging him along to get him into his room so he can get him to bed. That's what Brady looked like yesterday. It looked like his body had absorbed every hit he'd ever taken in his life, all in one blow. And it was like, he just was done. He was done. But I'm sure he woke up with a hangover that was right up there with anybody you could possibly imagine in the history of the game. So, look, we've got stuff to talk about in terms of basketball as well. Wednesday night, Missouri lost after Missouri climbed back into the race. And now you feel like, Alabama's still going to win it. Florida, because they can't play and again are not going to play on Saturday, will continue to drop. Not in the net. The net actually they keep going up because what their goal is. Never play another game, but have Alabama and Tennessee win out, and that way their net would just go. In West Virginia, which has won a bunch of games since then, they might end up as like the 6th seed or the 6th ranked team in the country in terms of the net rankings. That's what happens. You just keep going up. So we still have a lot of that to talk about. Of course, Tennessee got a big Wednesday. Keon Johnson almost killed the backboard, and I think they're going to have to. They'll have to replace that backboard. I don't think there's much question about that. So we're not going to talk a lot of Super Bowl. We're not going to talk a lot of, about basketball on this show because we haven't had any basketball and football season's over. But we are going to continue to talk college football on this show. And so right now, great pleasure to bring on one of my best friends, Laura Rutledge. You see her all over TV. If you haven't seen her on TV, you don't have a TV. And you can go down to Electronics World. They sponsor our radio show, so we'll give them a plug and buy yourself a TV and then bring it home. And when you plug it in, Laura Rutledge will be on. All right, it is truly a great honor to bring in Laura Rutledge, one of my favorite people in the world. And we've had a lot of situations where we've been in a lot of the same places, but now she's everywhere. So like I said earlier, if you don't know Laura Rutledge, then your TV is broken. So you're going to go get a new TV. So go get a new TV and bring them out. How are you doing? I mean, I don't know how you have time for this podcast because you have so much going on in your life.
Well, I have time because it's you, Pat, but I'm doing great. Just excited to kind of be in a situation where I'm getting to talk about football every day. I mean, obviously, I miss college football when it's not college football season, but being able to do an NFL show that really the NFL season is year round. So it kind of gives me a chance to talk about it all the time. And the cool thing right now, as we're getting into, as we're entering into the NFL off season, we're talking more draft stuff, which gives me a chance to brag on the Gators all the time. It's actually hilarious. Yesterday we had Todd McShay on the show and he was talking about Kyle Pitts and, some of the great prospects that Florida has. And I had to throw in a little go Gators to him because I couldn't help myself.
Well, that's good to hear. And I'm sure you had good things to say about Kyle Pitts as well. I mean, I would think for you, you've got to compartmentalize. I mean, I've learned that in my retirement, that, okay, this show goes here and this stuff for this story goes here. You've got, the college football one, the NFL one, the baby formula one, the shoots that you have to do for commercials and stuff. It's got to stay awfully busy for you.
Yeah, I always feel like I'm this close to just being crazy, and I probably am crazy if you ask anybody that really knows me well. But truly, I think you're right. Just kind of trying to keep things in different categories. And I think one thing that I've learned, just over my relatively short career, has been just trying to not be too hard on yourself. As you're trying to manage everything, and just being patient with yourself and being forgiving of of yourself. I think that's applicable to a lot of people in life and just in general, whether you have a lot going on or you don't have as much going on. I think we're all kind of too hard on ourselves and sometimes let the criticism get to us. So I just try to take it one step at a time. And sometimes that means, I've got like a poop diaper hanging off the side of something and I'm trying to, get on the phone and I'm trying to get ready for the show. I mean, just whatever it may be, it's always an adventure.
When they approached you about NFL Live, did you say, does that mean I have to give up college football? Because you're still able to dabble in that. And I think that kind of scratches that itch for you.
Yeah, that's so well said. It was interesting when they called me about NFL Live. Actually, one of the first things out of Stephanie Drewley's mouth, who she was the one who called me, and she's a wonderful leader at ESPN. She called and she said, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and say, don't worry, you'll still host SEC Nation. You'll still be in the college football world, because she knew how much college football means to me and how important, covering the SEC is to me. And I think that's something that, I'm really grateful for. Every step along the way in my career, I've still had a chance to do that. And I think that they know how much that matters to me. And so I hope that I can continue to keep that component no matter what. And the great thing too, hoping that that I get to stay in this job as long as possible. The SEC and ESPN are about to enter into this big deal together, in a partnership together, whenever that deal is up with CBS. So we're talking, 3-4 years. And that's something that I'm really excited about and hope that I can be a part of too at that point, even with the NFL job that I have now.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, Laura. I would think that everybody at ESPN is they're already in the plan-making stages for 3 years from now when the CBS, the contract goes over to ESPN. And I think a lot of us grew very comfortable with CBS and the game of the week and 3:30 every Saturday. And I think we don't want to see the pageantry of that game get lost.
Yeah, it's a great way to put that. And I think that's something that I know I can't give away too much, but I know that a lot of people already have their brains on that and trying to maintain that pageantry. I mean, even talking about the iconic music that we all think of, right? That might stick around. I don't want to break news here necessarily, but there are a lot of things that conversations that are being had right now that I know are trying as hard as we can to not only continue that pageantry, but accentuate it. And I think the cool thing, just as a fan of college football, but a fan of the SEC especially, is that we're talking about now where the entire college football day will be from wherever that game is most likely. I mean, you think about game day being able to be there. It's literally all the way through. And just the exposure for the student athletes in the Southeastern Conference with an even larger platform with the components of ESPN, ABC, and Disney is really, really cool. So I'm excited for everybody involved in it, but especially excited for the student athletes that deserve that platform so much.
Doing the NFL now too, obviously there are a lot of people who believe they know everything more in the NFL, I think, than college. We know we don't know anything, but the game to me has changed in this way, and that I think the NFL is almost pulled away from college football in terms of how good you have to be great. You can't just be good and play in the NFL anymore. And I'm amazed when I watch an NFL game, I'm seeing, that SEC type speed all over the place every day.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a good point. I think too, the rookies that are coming in and the contributions they're able to make so early on because of the way that the game and offenses especially have changed a little bit and evolved and become a little bit more speed and space, a little bit more of what we've kind of seen at the college level for the last few years. And that transition has been, I think, really exciting. I love offense and defense. I'm not somebody that's going to sit here and say, oh, all I want is high scoring games. Some of my favorite games that I've ever seen have been actually low scoring defensive battles, but still the offense is fun. And I thought it was interesting at the Super Bowl, Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner's press conference, he brought up the point that in such a wild year and a difficult year for so many people, the NFL, not only got through the season, right, but they were playing at the highest level in a lot of ways that they've ever played at. And so it really is. It continues to get better. And I think it's also a reflection on college football and specifically the SEC, because so many of these players are coming from the SEC and coming in prepared to play at that high level.
Yeah, the SEC, we're not counting last year in terms of scoring. That was ridiculous. We don't want those 48, 43 games anymore. We got to get them down a little bit. There's no question about it. But it is different in college and different in pros, and that's why one of the questions, you being somebody from the state of Florida, I'm curious what your thought is, and somebody who covered Urban Meyer and Jacksonville and that marriage. That they're still making out on the doorstep. I mean, you can't get them off the doorstep. The city of Jacksonville and Urban Meyer, it's almost too much.
Oh man, I tell you what. Yeah, I mean, listen. Credit to the Jaguars for making that hire. Urban Meyer is a splash hire, no matter where you're trying to hire him. I actually wrote a piece for ESPN that's going to be airing soon, but I had a line in the piece where I thought college football coaches breathed a sigh of relief knowing that he wasn't coming back to college. And then the NFL guys said, well, wait a second, even though he's not a proven commodity in the NFL, he still has that cachet. And no matter where he's gone, he's won. And I just think that reputation precedes itself. And I also think from Urban's perspective, it's really interesting because he doesn't have to do this. Like, he's already proven himself at so many different stops. He's been great on TV, all of that. But he's hungry for this, right? He wants to see, can I, and maybe it's an ego thing a little bit, but I think it's just kind of who he is. And you know this well in covering him also. He wants to see if he can do it. And I think he can. I think the difficulty is, it's just not going to be as instant success as you would see in college. He can't go out and recruit the best players. He's got to deal with, the way that the structure of the NFL works and how they're going to draft him. Obviously, he's going to get the best player this year because he'll get Trevor Lawrence, which is a big reason why he went to Jacksonville in the first place. Yeah. But he's not, Pat, going to be able to go out and just always say, all right, year after year, I'm bringing in the top players, because that's just not how the NFL works. So I think it's going to be intriguing to see how patient he can be, and I guess how patient Jacksonville can be, but I think it's less about that and more about his own patience and maybe not winning all the time. It's going to be a rebuild. It's going to be difficult. I think it will take a few years, and for Urban, it usually doesn't take a few years. So that's going to be something to watch, I think.
Hey, by the way, I wanted to know, I never saw the final tally on Baby Reese's record on picking games.
It's you know what? She's actually starting to scare me in both college. And then, of course, she picked the Super Bowl. She picked the Bucks. So she is 12-2 all time in her picks. I mean, and here's the thing. Like, everyone's like, oh, you guys are somehow doctoring the picks. No, we just let her loose. She does that. Her record is like significantly better than mine. So whatever she knows, I need some sort of information on. And I knew with the Super Bowl pick, she picked the Bucks. I knew I should change my pick to the Bucks. I had picked the Chiefs. I thought, you know what? I'm going to stick with it, whatever. And I just had a feeling I knew she was going to be right. It's very weird. I don't know what's going on with her, but everyone keeps saying, and it's funny. I get all these tweets where people are like, oh yeah, I place my bets on whatever she's doing and I've won all this money. I'm thinking, why am I not doing that? I should be making some money off this kid, but yeah, she's unbelievable with those. It's been hilarious.
The next thing you know, she'll be in Vegas going down the escalator with that Rain Man suit on.
Yeah. Right. I would be surprised.
Yeah, I can see that happen. Before we let you go, I know one of the biggest topics on your show has been since we saw the game, the Super Bowl, is how we never saw this coming. We did not see the blowout coming, not with Tampa Bay, and also how great they did defensively. But I know another subject is we were hoping a lot of people were hoping to see a 6-2, 6 Super Bowls for Brady, 2 for Mahomes, and now we had a competition, and now it's 7-1, and it's over. I'm calling it. I'm throwing the towel in. He's not going to get to 7, and certainly not to 8.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild to think what Brady's done. I think that as much as we tried to put that in context, it's hard to really even do it because it's never been done before. I mean, this guy goes and wins 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots and then says, you know what, I'm done playing there, structured his deal so that he could leave, finds a team that, people knew that the Buccaneers offense was good. No one really talked about their defense last year. Jameis Winston was the story because he turned the football over too much. He goes there and he says, you know what, this team is going to work for me. I'm going to bring Rob Gronkowski with me, who I don't even care if Gronk does anything in the regular season. It's all about the postseason. And sure enough, that pays off. Antonio Brown runs a great route that ends up being a touchdown. I mean, all of these steps along the way that Brady seemingly calculated almost like it wasn't even a big deal. It's just shocking to me. And listen, I still think, Patrick Mahomes is going to be one of the greatest of all time. I firmly believe that. This was a game where the Chiefs were outcoached. The O-line was a big part of this. I think the Chiefs, and deservedly so, they're already a favorite for next year's Super Bowl because their O-line will be back and they'll be better, than they were in that game. They picked a pretty bad day to play their worst game in 3 years. But when you think about how young Mahomes is, listen, he's not going to be Brady, but I think he can still get close. I wouldn't be shocked if Mahomes ends up winning maybe 4 or 5 Super Bowls. And they can do it in the next few years because they're set up really well with the guys that they have on their team. But yeah, Brady's unbelievable. And he's coming back again. And it's like, you know what? Watch him win another. I mean, I would not be shocked if that happened.
Yeah, Mahomes would be like Phil Mickelson. It went 4 or 5. Not up there in the rarefied air of it by any chance. But hey, Laura, always great talking to you. We appreciate all the work you do on the SEC Nation, of course, NFL Live. And do you have any writing you wanted to plug? You mentioned that you're writing some stuff. Are you trying to take my jobs over?
No. Oh, my goodness. I would never. No, I write a lot of feature pieces for ESPN that they turn into things that'll be on SportsCenter. And sometimes we have them on NFL Live. Just I love to write. So it's kind of been cool that they'll let me do that every once in a while if I get an idea. Or sometimes they'll come to me and say, hey, we want a piece. They came to me and said they wanted a piece on Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. So I wrote them a little something. And yeah, who knows when they're going to air, but don't worry about those. I'm not.
No, I'm going to critique them. I'm going to critique him the way Buddy Davis used to critique me at Florida. He would leave you a tape and you had to listen to it. And I took his class, and the first tape I listened to, I plug it in, go to the library, and he goes, in every class is someone who doesn't get it. In our class, that's you. And I hit stop. I go, I'm dropping this class. I got to take
I'm out.
Those are the days.
Joke's on him, I think, to be totally honest.
Laura, thanks for joining us. It was great stuff as always, and we'll see you down the road. Hopefully we'll see you soon because I'd like to see, people.
That'd be great.
Yes.
That would be awesome. I fingers crossed that can happen soon, but I appreciate you so much. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you, Laura. Thanks a lot. We'll take a break and we'll come back with a little more of the, not a lot more. The second half. I think I had a little snort there. The second half of the Another Dooley Noted Podcast. Robbie Andreu will be joining us, and we can't wait for that. I got some good questions I've been thinking of for Robbie. And also, we still need to do another Dooley Noted, the quick picks, Leonardo's quick picks. We need to do the Gator of the week. Yes, I've got one. And I'm very fond of this young lady. Never met her, but I'm very fond of her. And also, we got to do this, that, and the other. My favorite part of the show is when we can do this, that, and the other on Fridays. So we'll do all that and more when we return. You're watching Another Dooley Noted Podcast. You can get your favorite alcoholic brands from ABC Fine Wine and Spirits delivered right to your door. ABC Delivers is available in Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, and all of the Southeast Florida. Earn ABC points for coupons and free bottles through abcdelivers.com. It's powered by FedEx Same Day City, and you're going to love the price. Free with a $50 purchase for the first 7 miles. So wine, spirits, beer, and everything you need to celebrate. Get it delivered. Shop abcdelivers.com.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you. the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
This is Pat Dooley, and I want to tell you about my friends at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. I'm a member, and you should be too. It's the oldest Gator booster club in the world and a great place to meet new friends, network with prominent business people, and hear a great collection of speakers, including Dan Mullen, throughout the football season. Go ahead and give John Stevens a call at 352-222-8516 or sign up on the website, quarterbackclub.org. All right, welcome back to another Dooley Noted Podcast. Great to catch up with Laura Rutledge, of course, and I already know what this guy's been doing. But we bring Robbie Andreu on. Again, his appearances are sponsored by Ocala Family Dentistry. Call Laura Cartwright at 352-351-4412. And, of course, another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by the good people at ABC Fine Wine and Spirits and Titan MRI. All right, Robbie, let's start out this segment by talking about the Pounceys both retiring today. It kind of caught me by surprise. I mean, where I was like, whoa, okay, it makes some sense.
Yeah, because of the longevity at a tough position, but you look at them, you think they could physically play for 3 or 4 more years if they wanted to, you would think.
Well, they're both 31, obviously. Yeah. They'd have to be the same age since they're twins.
Well, duh.
I remember.
But yeah, physically, I think they could keep playing, but maybe they're just want to retire and enjoy life, you know?
Had some injuries and maybe just tired of it. And, at some point, the grind is pretty tough to go through.
But, you know, that all went by so fast, at least for me and you it did. You know, I remember when they were freshmen and Mike Marquise started at center, was it, against LSU on the road?
Yeah.
And dominated as a true freshman.
Yeah, and then
which gave every indication of where he was going. And
then was it that year that they had to play Mike on defense?
Yeah,
because they were so bad on defense. And that's the thing about that team. That team was loaded with NFL talent. Joe Hayden, Carlos Dunlap, guys like that. But they were all freshmen.
Yeah.
And they weren't good yet. And they
got
took
good
them
the
a
next
while.
year though.
Yeah.
But the thing I remember about Mike Pouncey, Pat, is that when Marquise left early, Adazia said that Mike will be a first-round pick too. Some of the writers that didn't know anything thought, "Are you kidding? First-round pick Mike Pouncey?"
I know.
And Adazia goes, "Yeah, duh," and of course he was.
Yeah, they weren't. I mean, I asked Urban about it once. First of all, I asked him, "How do you tell them apart?" Because I never could.
I couldn't either.
It had something to do with the tattoos, and then apparently, I think Mike has a little bit of a birthmark here, and that's how Urban told them apart.
No, but you're right. I couldn't ever tell them apart.
But
number.
He said that Marquise came in more ready and was able to play. Isn't that funny that two guys could be twins, play for the same high school, and one would be a little bit better than the other?
Yeah, you figure their brothers are working out together doing the same thing, but just the way it goes, not everybody's the same.
And here's a question I have, and I don't know the answer to this. I probably could talk to some people that may know. But is Marquise Pouncey a Hall of Famer? Would he get in the Hall of Fame? He made 2
Pro Bowl.
He made 2 All-Pro teams. He made several Pro Bowls. I mean, I don't know. You know, I don't know that much because, I mean, I'm sitting here looking at Boselli, who played only 8 or 9 years, and they're not letting him in because
he wasn't there long enough.
He didn't play long enough, apparently.
With linemen, you want him to be at least 10, 12 years
Yeah, well,
in the
these
league,
guys, are 10 and a half or 10 plus?
Well, I think he'll have a chance. He was on a high-profile team, you know, and got a lot of recognition right from the start. So I think, he has a chance.
And that'll help him and hurt Mike because Mike really didn't play for high-profile teams for the most part.
But was very productive so I doubt if he'll get the call.
But if one of them does get the call, think about it. Ring of Honor.
I know.
Now you can get in the Ring of Honor. Why should that have anything to do with whether you get in the Ring of Honor or not? Is beyond me.
Absolutely.
But
strange.
So you could end up maybe in 5 years having 2 more up there, but we'll see if that happens. I still.
Pouncey and Meyer should go on at the same time. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Little package deal.
Well, what they ought to do is put Lomas Brown up there anyway.
Oh my God, yeah.
Just because they aren't acknowledging him because he played for crappy teams in the NFL, so they're not giving it to him in the NFL. And I think he's, probably a borderline guy, but he had longevity. He played for a long time.
And I think he was the best offensive lineman in
Best
Florida
in
football
Florida
history.
ever.
There's no doubt.
Dominant. I mean, he was an unbelievable player. All right, we'll continue to talk about that and some other things, but of course, we need to get to some of our segments here, starting out with the Leonardo's Millhopper Quick Picks. We appreciate Kyle and all the great work he does there. In fact, I've already scheduled mentally a Tuesday stopping there and getting one of those Parmesan subs. They're really good.
That sounds like a good plan.
It's all up in here.
Yeah.
All right, so we start out, Robbie, and I caught you by surprise by this.
You really did. It threw me off.
The number one on our Leonardo's Quick Picks, McNeese State versus Tarleton State.
Where is Tarleton State?
Tarleton State, I looked it up, is near Birmingham.
Oh, really?
Not that far away. I'd never heard of it. But they're playing a football game Saturday.
Can you name a player or coach on either team?
Johnny Smith.
I'm not buying that.
Steve Robinson.
Tom Jones.
Yeah, Tom Jones. And somebody.
John Hancock, too.
John
right?
Hancock's really good.
No, he's the coach, Pat.
John Hancock. I can't name anything or anybody about him. But they are playing football. This is the start of the spring season for a lot of FCS teams.
So will we be getting games on TV again? Or no?
There will be some, yeah.
Cool.
Now, I think this game is only on, I think you have to have ESPN Plus or whatever. But anyway, if you can find it, it
more
gives
power
you
to you.
College football to watch. But you have to pick it. I'll tell you, I'm not even going to do the points, but Tarleton is a 2-point favorite.
Okay. I'm leaning toward them.
I'm going with McNeese on that one. That's a big one.
I heard McNeese is running the wishbone again. So
It could be.
we'll see.
All right. Look, there's obviously we're sitting here and Freddie pointed this out earlier. Florida's having an unbelievable stretch of games here where they have not lost.
They have not. They're undefeated here for.
They haven't lost since. But think about the weirdness of, and I know I'm getting off track here, but Robbie, think about the weirdness of how everything has ended for Florida. When you think, okay, basketball season ended with a loss to Kentucky, a depressing loss, blew an 18-point lead to Kentucky, and then they never played another game. Then it ended again with Keontae Johnson on the floor in Tallahassee, and then they restarted it, and now it's ended with that loss to South Carolina.
Loss,
and we don't know when they're going to play again. And then you go back to baseball, which went 16-0, and its last game
lost
that
to
we've
FSU.
seen. Lost
Which
to
of
FSU.
all those games you wouldn't want to lose would be that one.
In football, 3-game losing streak to end the
I
season. We're not seeing Gators finish.
They're not finishing at all.
No, I don't know.
Finishing the wrong way.
So I found a good basketball game to pick because I think Oklahoma, West Virginia is probably the best game. They're both
that is a good
ranked pretty high, and so this is what we have to do because of Florida not playing basketball. But we are bringing the gymnastics meet tonight, which is at 7:30 on SEC Network. Huge meet. I mean, I know that meets in college tend not to be that big a deal because you're kind of playing for seeding and everything.
Yeah.
But it's 1 versus 2, man. I mean, you get 1 versus 2 so seldom.
The thing about it, though, with gymnastics, you're really competing against yourself.
You are.
The other team's doing their thing. You're doing your thing.
Can you imagine, though? I mean, because our attention spans are limited anyway.
Very limited.
We're kind of like dog. That if you had to stand up on a 4-inch wide balance beam, and they're playing music in the background, and people are screaming and yelling over here, and I mean, the NCAA tournament is just a collection of noise.
Yeah, it is.
I've been to a bunch of them. It's unbelievable how much noise there is, and yet these young ladies are able to do their disciplines. It's incredible.
Yeah, they're great athletes, no question about it.
So the final thing we have on this is the over/under 10s. I've set this line myself in this meet, 1.5. Okay, so if you think there are going to be more than one, you go with the over. If you think one or less, you go with the under. And I mean, look, we have to come up with some creative stuff here because of this Gator basketball.
That is getting creative, Pat.
It is. So McNeese.
Would you go over that again?
I don't know if I go over.
I'll just accept what you said and go with it.
All right, here we go. McNeese at Tarleton. Florida LSU gymnastics. The over/under being 1.5 10s, and then Oklahoma, West Virginia. Those are Leonardo's quick picks, and we appreciate again everything they do there. We also have got to get to 3 things, and we again are looking for a new sponsor there. If you want to get involved, you know my number to call, 352-317-3444. And again, you can If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, we appreciate you doing that. Our text line is available at 352-780-0720. Have I covered everything? Oh, listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, WRUF.com.
You're everywhere, Pat.
39 platforms you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. All right, it is time for three things. And the number one thing we're going to talk about, Robbie, is the fact that Florida is playing Notre Dame. Is just now. I don't know if we're going to be around to see it.
What year is that? 2030?
31 and 32, I think.
Well, we got a chance.
But I'm curious why they waited until you and I retired to start scheduling all these games again in all these great places.
And now you look at the schedule.
Look where we had to go: Starkville, Fayetteville, Columbia, Missouri, which we hate. It's nothing against.
I don't hate it. The trip we hate.
The trip is terrible.
Takes forever.
Now you're going to Austin, Utah, Cal. I love Berkeley is a great
beautiful
town.
Campus.
Now Notre Dame. I've been there. I'm sure you've been there.
I've been
too.
outside the stadium. I covered the NCAA tournament there in tennis.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
When they won, Don Booth.
Yeah, Don Booth.
Seems like 100 years ago.
It does. But I've been to Notre Dame twice, so it's not a big deal for me.
South Bend's a cool little town, though.
It is. It's a pretty good town. But this is what Florida's doing and everybody's doing. I didn't even realize this, Robbie. I looked it up. I think it's 2031. Now, again, this is a long way to go and things can change.
Yeah.
They don't play anybody that's not a Power 5 opponent. So they've got the 8 SEC games and 4 Power 5s. Not only that, but since teams like this are scheduling this far in advance and having 12 games already scheduled, it makes you think that all this talk about the SEC going to more games.
No way.
They're not doing it. No. You know, it was a dream.
Yeah. But these matchups are good because people don't want to see the non-conference games that are meaningless. Attendance is down. Well, of course it has last year.
All over the country. Yeah.
You want attendance to get better. You schedule better games to keep your brand, way up there, interesting where people want to see it every week.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've said this before. It's not enough that the Gators are playing. Who are they playing?
Yeah, you've got to have who they're playing. Yeah.
It used to be enough, but it's just not enough, and that's the way it is for most schools. Now, Alabama is a different animal. Clemson's a different animal, but even they have had some problems with attendance. Not terrible problems, but if you're gonna have to schedule tougher, and I'll give Scott Strickland a lot of credit, man. I mean, there are some interesting matchups.
And the thing is, too, Pat, the players love that. They don't like playing these games that don't mean anything. They love playing the top teams in the country. So.
I remember Urban Meyer told his guys one year they were playing somebody. He said, "This is a stat game. Get your stats in this game." And unfortunately, sometimes you're trying to get stats and you let a team hang around, as Will Muschamp found out later. All right, so number 2 is the strangeness of the net. Now, the net rankings I talk a lot about, as you know, because this is a guide that they use for the selection committee. But think about this, Robbie. I looked this up today because I was curious. Colgate is ranked, I think, 14th.
14th?
Yeah. They didn't start playing until January. They've had 4 games postponed.
What's the record?
7-1.
Who'd they lose to?
They lost to Army.
Florida beat Army, right?
They're 14th, but that's the weirdness of this system. And Florida has bounced up 6 spots because they haven't lost a game.
Yeah, their record keeps getting better, actually.
Yeah.
The deeper they go.
So they were 31 after that loss, because I looked it up, and then they were 25. They're 25 now. And if they don't play any more games, they could end up number 1 seed.
If they end up in the top 10.
That's the goal. But it is weird. I think it's exposed a little bit of a flaw in the system, in this net ranking, which is kind of taken the place of RPI. But we'll see how it all ends up.
Just think if they'd beaten South Carolina, they'd really be up there now.
That was a hard, and again, that's the last memory we have right now.
That was a tough loss, I'll tell you.
It was bad. All right, and finally, number 3 on 3 things, J.J. Watt. We mentioned Pouncey's retiring. J.J. Watt getting his release.
Why would they release him?
Well, because he wants to get out. He says, I don't want to be on a rebuilding team. How many years do I have? And I'm sure that, when you look at people like the Pounceys being smart to get out when they did.
And you look at Tom Brady winning championships.
Yep.
J.J. Watt wants to get a team that maybe could win a championship And you don't blame him. He's one of the best players in the NFL.
I'm going to be curious to see what happens, whether we see it kind of happen like in basketball where everybody's, everybody wants to be in one place and try to win a championship. Are other people going to jump on the Buccaneer bandwagon with Brady? So we'll see.
They might. It wouldn't shock them.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. By the way, baseball opener is Friday. Don't forget that. And actually on Monday we're going to have
this Friday or next?
Well, not today.
Oh, no.
No, it's next Friday. Next week, Jeff Cardozo is going to come on. Of course, he does the play-by-play for Florida baseball, and also is my partner on radio. And we're going to kind of talk about this season. Also, Chris Dortch is going to join us from Blue Ribbon Magazine, the best basketball magazine there is, and we'll have him on there on Monday. Yeah.
Baseball team, Pat. Everything I'm reading, they're just loaded. Are they?
They're very, very good. And here's the funny thing, though. When the all-SEC team came out, there was only one guy on it from Florida, and that was Fabian, who's going to have an unbelievable year. It's going to be an incredible year.
And a new ballpark.
Well, yeah,
it's beautiful.
But the funny thing is, I also looked at that all-SEC team, and almost every player on it was from the West Division. So it's Florida. And it's Vandy, and I don't know how good the rest of the teams are here, and then everybody in the West is good. So it's going to – look, they're not going 56-0, Robbie.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that never happens. But it'll be certainly interesting to see how well they do. And I'm looking forward, obviously, to that first series being against Miami. It would have been a beautiful thing if they had been able to open that park
to
the
full crowd,
to the full crowd. I mean, there would have been people hanging off the pillars there and everything.
But I walk by there once in a while, Pat, and it's really beautiful to look at.
Well, it was great when we got the tour, and now they've added all the extras, and it's incredible. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
That doesn't hurt recruiting, does it?
No, but what Sully's always said. He goes, "Look, I'll recruit to the parking lot. I'm fine. I don't. All this stuff is great, but we're still number one in recruiting even without it.
That hasn't changed, right?
Yeah, it's either them or Vandy every year." And that's a whole nother story, but I don't want to get into that too much. Robbie, one thing I did today for my front nine column, which I do on Fridays on WRUF.com.
I didn't know you had a front nine.
I do have a front nine and a back nine now. So now if you ask me...
So you better on the front nine or the back nine?
I'm not good on either one. But
what's your handicap?
It's 38.
Okay.
But what I did was kind of take Florida and how NFL coaches like to break it into fours?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I took Florida because you got a September schedule, you got an October schedule, you got a November schedule. And it's going to be really interesting. I didn't even realize until I did this. In October, they only play one game in Gainesville.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I noticed.
So that's when their
away from
season
home for a while
tends to get defined.
Yeah.
You usually got LSU in there. You usually got Georgia in there. Obviously, the 30th or 31st this year, it's on the 30th. And so, if you go through that first 4 games stretch and go 3-1, let's just say you lose to Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could happen, right?
Yes, that could. You're going to be fine.
No doubt. Yeah. You're still in great shape.
And then you'll decide your season with the LSU and Georgia games, and then don't throw a shoe. You know. And that's just become the term for screwing up.
Don't throw a shoe.
Don't throw a shoe.
But you're right. That's all it takes. One mistake can cost you dearly, and that's what happened to that one.
It did, and it was not good in any way. All right, so I had a couple questions I wrote down the other day when I was thinking of you being on the show today, and we'll keep it football-oriented. Here was do you think Emory Jones will throw half as many touchdown passes this year as Kyle Trask did last year?
Half as many? 43. What was 43?
Yeah.
I think they would love it if he did, and then put maybe 15 rushing touchdowns in there with him. And I think you're going to have something special.
What if he got 43 total?
Then that would be
running and passing.
That could happen. That could happen.
Although Kyle Trask had 3 rushing touchdowns, so he actually had 46.
But I can't wait to see what Emory does when he's the guy. Even though he is going to get pushed for that job.
Oh, there's no doubt. And they want that. They want competition.
Of course, yeah.
But
I think Emory, they're going to take it to a new level, I think, just the way they do things. And I think it's going to be fun to watch. It is.
It is. You're absolutely right about that. Percentage. What do you think the percentage of tickets sold, or where you have people in the seats for the Alabama game, will be?
Well, they're going to want as many as they can get.
Now you got to think about this one. But yeah, but they're probably still not going to be at the point where you can
they're
sell it out.
20, 30%, 40%.
I think it'll be more than that. I think it'll be like 70%.
I think a lot depends on what happens in the next 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
So,
a lot depends on whether I get my shot tomorrow.
Yeah. You didn't get your second shot yet?
Supposed to get it tomorrow.
I got a shot for you.
What was the other question I had here? Oh, what game will you regret not going to this year?
Last year or this year?
This year, coming
up? Well, Alabama game, I guess. It's always cool seeing them in the swamp.
Who wrote that question?
Did you write it?
I don't think I did. I think Kelsey might have written that one on there.
Snuck one in on you?
All right, we got to get a break, but it's funny, and we can talk about this as well, Robbie. I've said all along, and very early, that Dan Mullen needs to have a good offseason and needs to be quiet.
Yeah, quiet is the key word there, Pat.
And so far, now they were gone on vacation for a while, and we'll see how it goes. But and again, they need to have a good spring, and then we'll see what they can do. But anyway,
I think his roster's in good shape.
I agree totally. All right, we still have Gator of the Week to come up. We've got 2 of them actually. And your favorite segment, Robbie, this, that, and the other. I look forward to that. I got a good one for you today. It involves somebody you know very well. All right, we got to get a break though right here. We'll be back with more of Another Dooley Noted Podcast right after this. Thanks so much to our title sponsors, ABC Fine Wine and Spirits and Titan MRI, and to our pick sponsor, Leonardo's of Millhopper. You can find us live on Facebook and YouTube or listen at your leisure on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you find all your favorite podcasts. I'm excited to continue this podcast and to have your company on board as a sponsor. If you're interested in being part of the show, email me at patrickdooley54@gmail.com or give me a call, 352-317-3444.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
You can get your favorite alcoholic brands from ABC Fine Wine and Spirits delivered right to your door. ABC Delivers is available in Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, and all of the Southeast Florida. Earn ABC points for coupons and free bottles through abcdelivers.com. It's powered by FedEx Same Day City, and you're going to love the price. Free with a $50 purchase for the first 7 miles. So wine, spirits, beer, and everything you need to celebrate. Get it delivered. Shop abcdelivers.com. All right, welcome back to Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And it's about to get really busy around here, Robbie. If basketball ever starts playing again, I'm not blaming them, but
no, it's not their fault.
We all are sitting here Saturday going, what are we going to do?
I know.
There's the basketball.
Nothing to watch.
But then obviously baseball starts on Friday. Softball actually starts Saturday, but they're on the road, but then they'll be home.
What will the attendance be for those? Have they decided yet? Or?
I think baseball's around
2,000.
Yeah, and probably softball, which I would guess is probably not very much.
Maybe 800.
I don't know if it's that many because it'll be close to that. Probably a little bit less than that. So you get that started, and obviously we still got gymnastics going on, track and field, one of the best teams in the country. Every year, and then obviously tennis. What else do we have? Oh, spring football.
That's coming, soon.
Yeah, and by the way, the baseball opener will be at 3. It'll be on TV, which is great, on the SEC network. And they've, as a result, they moved it up to 3 because they got to show gymnastics as well, which we're going to watch tonight. You know that. I've gotten you guys fired up, and gymnastics is home against Kentucky. Which is another excellent team, and the SEC's loaded, 6:30. So there's some people that'll probably do both that day.
Will Miami be good in baseball?
They're not bad. In fact, we're going to have Cardozo on Monday.
Not as good as usual, though?
Well, maybe better than they've been.
They kind of went to a little slump.
I think they've got a first baseman or a catcher who's draftable guy, and it'll be tough. Look,
Never easy.
it's baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, you know baseball. It's being a Twins fan like you.
Well, yeah, they can't win a playoff game.
You guys stink on the play in the
I
playoffs.
know.
It's really
We had
bad.
1,000 homers in the year, and then can't do anything in the postseason.
No, I know. I understand. I feel your pain because there's nobody else in that league that I like.
Yeah.
That.
I thought you loved the Yankees, Pat. Oh, wait, you hate them. I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, they're not my favorites. All right, it is time to do the Adams Rib Company Gator of the Week. And, of course, we do a Gator of the Weekend again on Mondays. But the Gator of the Week this week is two Gators. Our two Gators. Is it? No, it'd be our two Gators. Or is it the week? The Gator of the Week
The player of the week is two
I forget
Gators.
it. Who cares about
This is why you were tired.
We don't need no stinking grammar. All right, so the Gators of the week are a pair of women's basketball players. Last night, Florida had a great performance. It's a great story in that Florida, and I know they were under the radar all the time.
Yeah.
They looked like they had won the game in regulation. They celebrated, but then they waved off the basket. They had to go to overtime, and then even were better in overtime. Outscored them 16-9, and Florida gets a win. That was an important win for them. I mean,
he's got that program headed in the right direction.
it's going. Yeah, it's a slow climb.
It's a build. Yeah, he's building it.
It's like going up on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's click, click,
And
click, click. You know,
The higher you get, the tougher it is to keep going.
it makes it tough. In fact, they have a game Monday against Kentucky, and I think it's the.
Didn't Kentucky just beat Tennessee?
Yeah, I think they did.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so the Gators of the week, Kiki Smith and Lavender Briggs, they were unbelievable. Briggs hit the big three in overtime that kind of allowed Florida to relax. Kiki Smith 21-10, Lavender Briggs 19-10.
God, nice.
So when you get 40 and 20 out of your two best
you
players,
got your Gators of the week.
it's pretty easy. Yeah, I was thinking about giving it to the volleyball player named I think Laura Dooley is her name, but
Yeah.
just so I could say her
Dooley.
name. But these girls just barely outshone you, barely. All right, so that was our Gators of the week. Now it's time for This, That, and the Other, presented by Ballyhoo Grill, where we had lunch just Saturday.
That was fun, wasn't it, Pat?
Yeah, really good time. And then actually Karen and I ate there last night.
Oh, good.
Too, again. So we support our sponsors.
It's great to sit outside there.
Yep, and Dar Shakow Insurance. We appreciate their sponsorship as well of this segment. Now, I don't know if all of you are getting what I'm trying to do with This, That, and the Other, okay? It's this, and then it's that, and then it ends up being the other.
What else would it be?
Exactly. And the reason we're doing this segment is Robbie and I love when Spur used to say that, because that would
This, that, and the other.
that was his version of yada yada yada.
Yeah, it was. He was ahead of yada yada yada.
Yeah. So when he start talking about something,
This, that, and the other.
He get tired and he this, that, and the other.
It's like when you were in his office and he was talking to you. When he put on his glasses to read his mail, you knew it was time to leave. Pat, remember?
He did. Yeah.
Okay.
We used to have a joke that Spurrier would just, he'd dismiss you. He'd go,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
This was a great conversation, but I don't want to go
Yeah,
on
but when the
anymore.
glasses came on and the mail came out, it's time to leave the office.
That's hilarious. All right. So this. Urban Meyer announced his 28-man coaching staff.
28?
28. They ran.
Is that legal?
Yeah, well, you can do anything in the NFL. You can hire 1,000 people. But he released the 28. They put it on Twitter, and it looked like the credits for a Marvel movie. It's like
on it went.
I couldn't read it all. It was impossible.
Anybody you know?
Well, there were people we know, which is that. It wasn't,
This was the list.
This was a list. It wasn't a real shock to us to see Charlie Strong up there as
We knew that was coming, right?
associate head coach and linebackers coach, I think it is. And there was a lot of people that were, there was a lot of names that you've seen, and they pretty much knew everything.
Was Doc Holliday on there?
It was not on there. I
thought he might because I don't know
he
why.
might be. He just got let go.
Yeah.
But he might be on there. I got tired of reading the list. I couldn't go through them all. But we get to the other, and that is that he hired Chris Doyle, who, as a director of, I got to look up exactly, director of sports performance, and
Why? I don't get doing that.
Chris Doyle at Iowa was accused of making racist comments to his players and belittling and bullying the players. And Urban says, and of course this is all anybody's talking about.
Yeah.
They're not talking about
But the
other
27
guys.
other guys.
Yeah. And Urban says, I vetted him, I know him, I've known him for a long time. So if I've known you for a long time and I'm Urban Meyer, you're good. And that's what happened with Zach Smith, the same exact thing.
I know, and yet I don't. Why bring this on? You could hire anybody out there you want. Why bring this on if you take on a new job that creating early controversy? You're right. That's all anybody is talking about the new staff of his.
I know. He just believes that he knows best.
That he's a better judge than.
That he's a better judge.
Yeah.
And he was wrong on Zach Smith.
But he was there. But overall, his track record is pretty good.
And he's been wrong as and some other guys. But we'll see. I mean, I'm just fascinated by not so much about the hires.
Yeah.
But fascinated to see where this goes and how fast he's able to win, or if he's able to win there.
I don't think they're as far off as a lot of people think. I think that they have a chance to.
Well,
I think they can make improvement, pretty quick improvement, maybe in year 2.
Here's the thing in the NFL. Nobody's that far off.
No, you're
Everybody's
right.
just like a couple of players away, but those couple of players keep them back and they go 1-15. I mean, that's the way the NFL works. I mean,
you've got to have a great quarterback. You've got to have a great quarterback.
You've got to have a quarterback, and that's not that much different from college, where you've got to have a good quarterback these days. The days of Trent Dilfer winning Super Bowls are over.
Yeah, you don't see teams winning a title with a bad quarterback.
No, you don't. So, anyway, it's been great having you on again, Robbie.
Yeah,
we
Pat,
always
my
love
pleasure.
having you on. Don't forget, Robbie's appearances are sponsored by Ocala Family Dentistry. We appreciate Lauren Cartwright down there, and you can give her a call at 351-4412. And I think we've covered everything we need to cover.
This, that, and the other.
Oh, I had a good trivia question for you.
Okay.
All right. Florida had 10 guys make the All-SEC team in 1996. All right?
Okay.
Take your mind back to 1996.
Okay. Team loaded with talent.
Okay. 10 guys made All-American. 2 guys did not make the AP team, but they made the coaches team. And that was, believe it or not, Ike Hilliard
God.
and Fred Weary. So who made it instead of them? Now, in one case, the answer is
wide receivers.
Yeah, wide receiver. It was Riddell Anthony.
Yeah, I get that.
And Joey Kent, whose tongue got bit
Lawrence
off.
Wright.
Yeah.
Meet Lawrence Wright.
Defense in secondary it was Anton Lott and Deshae Townsend. So a Gator knocked them out of it each one. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
But what was your question?
That was the question. Who knocked them out? I knew you weren't going to get the answer.
I couldn't get it.
All right. I think we've covered everything. We appreciate everybody for joining in. Thanks again to Laura Rutledge. And, of course, always thanks to Robbie Andreu. Appreciate Evan for everything he does over there, and to Freddie. And that's it. We're out of here. Hope everybody have a great weekend. It's going to be a little bit wet. Enjoy the Daytona 500 if that's your thing. Until next time, Monday, when Jeff Cardozo and Chris Dortch will be joining us. I'm Pat Dooley. This is another Dooley Noted Podcast, and I am deep way back, and I'm out of here.